Okay, here you go. Script's ripped up, and I'm just doing this right off the hoof, so apologies. So recently, me and the wife decided that we were going to go and visit London, and we thought, well, do you know what? Let's get the train for a wee change. Fed up with flights, fed up getting to the airports, going through security, you're having to take your belt off, all that kind of stuff. Empty every single thing out your pockets. Take your shoes off. You're scared in case you've popped your big toe through your socks on the way to the airport, and then you're standing there with a big hole in your sock. Who knows? It's unbelievable the amount of time you spend at all these airports. So let's get the train. Let's book. Let's book a couple of seats. Let's reserve the seats and let's head down to London, and that'll be it. And it was something like 5 hours. 5 hours it was. 5 hours. 5 hours it was. So and that was that. And change at Crewe. We're changing at Crewe. So that was a plan. So where we goes. Glasgow Central Station, on the train, no hassle. I'm there, music in, chilled out, messing with the phone, Wi-Fi, everything you need. Wife's got her Kindle, everybody's happy. And then we're travelling all the way down to Crewe, and then we get off at Crewe a couple of hours later. And that's where the fun begins. Now once you get to that stage, it was then a case of 23-minute wait for the next train, which wasn't an issue. That was fine. So we then looked and went, oh, we're going on a different coach here. We need to get a different coach. Well, what coach are we going on? Oh, we're going on coach E. Okay. And then you start looking and you go, how many coaches is there? I kid you not, the train was a length of 2 football pitches, and you're trying to work out where you should be standing on the platform. Now, usually I struggle to find out what platform it is, never mind where to stand on the platform. So this was us in a situation that we're having to find where to stand. And what do you do in that case when you're with a wife? Always with you start to argue. You start to say, no, I think it's here. No, I think it's, no, it's down here. No, it's further up. No, it's further. It was chaos. And listen, there's about another 200 couples doing the exact same stuff up and down the platforms. So anyway, we picked a spot. We thought, that's us. We're ready. We're coat, we're hats, we're bags. We've got everything. Everything's all ready. We're ready to go. But what happens is then the train comes in, and then you start looking at the speed of the train, and you're thinking, that train is going too fast. It's not going to stop when I'm expecting it to stop. So next minute, we're chasing the train. The train's going 15 mile an hour. Coach E has passed by us, and we're chasing Coach E all the way down that platform, thinking, we're going to end up in London here ourselves. Never mind getting on the bloody train, the amount of distance that we're covering. Anyway, train stops, we get on the carriage, and even more fun commenced. Now, these people on the trains, which I can only call them as seat migrators. Now, there's a big sign above each of the seat if you've reserved the seat, which we had, and there's lights, it's a red or it's a green, and it's not as if they're tiny. You could probably see them for space, to be fair. They're that big, you can see them for space. And these people sit there, knowingly fine well that the seat is booked out, and then you're put in that awkward position. You've got to go up and go, excuse me, pal, any chance you're in my seat here? And then they give you that kind of look as if, oh, is it? Oh, well, that is my seat, mate. Aye, that's the one I've booked. And you've got to wait for him to then move out your seat. Now, it's not as if he's just sat down there. He's sat down, he's got coats, bags, laptops, mobile phones, chargers, everything's off. Honestly, I thought the guy had set up a branch, his branch office at the table. It was unbelievable. Bags of food and everything. I think he thinks he was there for a fortnight. Unbelievable. So then he's got to move, and he's looking at you as if you've asked him to move out his house when you've just asked him to move out your seat. And then that was that. So you've got them to move out the way. But what do? They don't go and sit in another empty seat. They go and sit in somebody else's seat, and he puts all his stuff out again. And then the next stop, somebody comes on, and somebody goes, "Oh, excuse me, pal, you're in my seat. Is there any chance you could move? You're in my seat." "Oh, is it? Of course, how many times do these guys travel on trains? They must know when it's actually somebody else's seat. But unbelievable, and up and down and up and down. Obviously, I've never seen so many people jump up and down all over the place whilst they're on a train. And so that's us. We eventually get sitting on a seat, and that's it. And we're quite happy we're on the seat. And then I just kind of glanced up, and I looked and I went, "What coach are we again?"